You're watching the Ohio State Football Report. Hi, everybody. Matt Goldman here, your host at Chat Sports. It's Labor Day, but we're going to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes' dominant performance against the Akron Zips. 52-6 was the final score, and the Buckeyes looked great. I was there in person with the other 102,000 packing the horseshoe to watch the Buckeyes dominate in their 2024 opener. However, they did have a scare in the beginning. They were down 3-0 to the Zips, but that was the only lead Akron had the entire game, as Ohio State started off really slow on offense, and that's classic Ryan Day, that's classic Ohio State, and that gives a scare to the fans, but they prevailed, winning by 52-6 in front of a packed house, opening game of 2024. They started off slow. Will Howard did not look great in the beginning, the Kansas State transfer, but as time went on, he got comfortable, and a wide receiver named Jeremiah Smith, who I've talked about in the past, but for new people who are coming on to watch, this is a guy you will want to know for the next few years. He had a freshman debut I will talk about even further on the show, and the national audience that watched on CBS and throughout social media got to know Jeremiah Smith real well. Well, I'm going to talk about the 5 biggest takeaways I had where I got to see Ohio State play in this first game against the Zips. They have Western Michigan this upcoming week. It's going to be a night game at the Shoe. Western Michigan kept it close with Big Ten foe Wisconsin. But I'm going to talk about the biggest takeaways I had after this game. Now, Ohio State dominated 52 points. And I'm asking this, 52 points, can we get at least 52 likes on this video? I don't think it should be that hard, especially because Ohio State dominated and Buckeye fans should be happy. So if you're happy with the way the Scarlet and Gray played, give this video a like. So I'm asking you guys to comment also down below. How did you feel regarding Ohio State's performance? Did you feel great? Did you not feel good about the way Chip Kelly ran the offense or Jim Knowles called the defense or how special teams was? Or did you feel really good? Brandon Inniss shined in the special teams here. Did you think the run game was great? Did you think the wide receivers were some of the best in the country? Did you think the O-line looked good or bad? I want you to tell me down below. For me, my opinion, it was a so-so performance. I don't know if Ohio State really had the best performance we've seen from this team. Again, one game. There's a lot of game and ball to be played left. This is a small sample size for every team in the country. Ole Miss just crushed Furman 76-0. This is Furman. This is not the real Ole Miss team we'll see all year. We might see that dangerous offense, but we don't know what their defense is like because they weren't really tested. And same with Ohio State. But for Ohio State to play a MAC team like Akron and put up 52 points, great. That's the happy part about this. But the way they started off slow and the way this O-line played, which I'll talk about more, I wasn't too pleased with it, and I thought they could be better. So starting off with my number one takeaway is that Jeremiah Smith is a stud. Let me repeat that again. Jeremiah Smith is a stud. This guy is a freak already, and he's just 18 years old and already coming into college football dominating. His stat line was impressive. 6 receptions, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I talked about in a video just a few days ago that he has a chance, and he will, in my opinion, the bold prediction I had, to break Chris Carter's freshman record of 648 yards. He's already on pace to break that with ease with the way he played against the Zips this weekend. You know, the funny thing is, he dropped the first pass attempt that went to him. It was right in his hands, and he dropped it. It went right through his hands, and he was happy and relieved that he got the drop out of the way. So was I, because if he dropped it in the end zone, I think other news would have been talked about regarding Jeremiah Smith and his potential. But let's not overlook one game because of the fact that Jeremiah Smith had 1 drop. He played out of his mind. He scored 2 touchdowns, not 1, but 2 against Akron as a freshman in the corner of the end zone. He looked like an NFL-ready player already, and that's crazy to think. Jeremiah Smith is just such a special player. I love the way Brian Hartline, Chip Kelly, and Ryan Day, who run the offense, use him as wide receiver 3, but also is just that 50-50 go ball guy. And Will Howard talked about how you can just throw it up there, and Jeremiah is going to get it. He said that in the post-game press conference, and I thought to hear that about a freshman was pretty special. Another young guy I want to talk about is Arvell Reese. He got the nod to start as linebacker for Ohio State over C.J. Hicks as he played a majority of the game, wore the green dot, so he was in charge of calling the plays out to the defense during the Ohio State game as a sophomore. Very impressive stuff from Arvell Reese, who is a converted D-end into a middle linebacker with Sonny Styles, who's the will linebacker in the 4-2-5 defense that Jim Knowles runs. Arvell Reese looked great. And I was telling my dad, my friends, whoever sitting around me, my mom as well, Reese looks really good. And we kept talking about that the entire game because of the fact that Arvell Reese was able to just get in there, and he didn't look like a sophomore who had never started or really had any significant time playing. He really shined, and his stat line was okay, 4 tackles, but the 1 tackle for loss really stuck out. As a sophomore is able to have that instant impact, I thought that was really impressive with the way Reese was able to handle the pressure and that Jim Knowles is able to count on him. He talked about on August 8th on Big Ten Network. He's going to flash. He's going to be a special talent at Ohio State. And the fact they brought that up almost a month ago to the date, that's pretty cool to hear that he had that high of regard for Arvell Reese. I'm curious for you guys. I know I have more takeaways to talk about, but tell me what your top takeaway from the game was. Was it about Ryan Day? Was it about a coaching staff member or the play calling? Was it about the special teams, defense, offense? I want to hear from you. Just give me a simple answer about a player or something specific that caught your eye in the game, because I have something else that caught my eye that I wasn't too pleased about. It was the O-line. They struggled immensely, and that's what I talked about in the preview in all the videos prior to this one. This offensive line, especially the right side, not great. And the fact that Donovan Jackson, our left guard, didn't play, who was supposed to start, who was supposed to be the guy to come back to, the All-American from a few years ago, he didn't play. Undisclosed why him and Cody Simon, the 2 starters, linebacker Cody Simon, did not play in the game. Hope to see Donovan Jackson back this week because there were some shifts around the offensive line. Austin Severfeld had to come in on the left side at left guard. And then the right side, it was Josh Fryer, our right tackle, who really did struggle. And that was a guy I thought was going to struggle and someone I wanted to watch in this game. What I saw was the same old what we saw last year. Not a good performance at all and just underdeveloped, it seems, for his age. And it was kind of upsetting to think about. Josh Fryer, his grades right here on the screen. Look at the grades overall, 59.1 overall. That's the lowest blocking grade for a starting offensive lineman on this Ohio State team. A veteran, an older guy compared to most on this offensive line, and yet he had the worst grade according to PFF. And then the run blocking grade, bottom half of the country, 55.3. Ohio State struggled to run the ball with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson at times in the game. And when the ball went to the right side, it was because Josh Fryer wasn't blocking good enough for Ohio State. And you see that in the numbers. Overall with the offensive line, 73.9 pass block grade, 68.5 run block grade, which is why I said Ohio State really did struggle in the run blocking game. And that's because of the fact that they just didn't do that good of a job. And Justin Fry, who is going to be on the hot seat this year, not just because of recruiting losses in terms of not getting the players that Ohio State needs, but really not developing the guys the way that Ohio State needs to have offensive linemen like they've had in the last couple years. Some first rounders, some really good NFL-ready players. They don't have anyone really like that in the offensive line, except for Donovan Jackson, who wasn't playing in this game. Make sure to like this video, as I talked about earlier. 52 points. We should equal 52 likes, Buckeye Nation. Let's get there. Let's get this video going. Let's get everyone that's an Ohio State fan to see this video. And let's keep talking about the Buckeyes all season long, because that's what I'm here for, and that's what this Ohio State football report is all about. My 4th takeaway, the DBs. Oof. They are still the best in the nation. BIA, best in America, and they showed it this week. From the fact that Denzel Burke stole the ball out of an Akron wide receiver in the middle of him falling towards the ground and took it away for a fumble was one of the best things I've seen from Denzel Burke ever in his career, and one of the best things I've seen from a DB in a long time. The fact that he was able to do that, plus his coverage skills, were out of this world and reminded me of his All-American days when he was a freshman. He showed promise. Jordan Hancock, getting in there in the PBUs he was able to have was really impressive. Davison Igbonosum, the other starting cornerback, I thought his physical presence out there is one of the best reasons why Ohio State has some of the best DBs in the country. He is physical. He's able to tackle like a defensive end or a linebacker. He's just a big dude who's able to get in there and show off his speed and aggression, and I really love that. And then the DBs, in terms of the safeties, Lathan Ransom took back a pick 6. Oof. Lathan Ransom was good in terms of just being overall a good player and a good leader. He really showed himself to be one of the best players on the Ohio State defense. he was one of my players to watch if you want to go back to that video prior. And I can tell you why, the reasons why I want to watch him, because of the injury history, the inconsistencies, but he showed to be consistent for Ohio State. Then Caleb Downs, the All-American, a tackle for loss, good coverage skills, really had a silent game, which is great, because if you don't get talked about, that might mean you did something well, and Caleb Downs did well. In terms of the coverage rating for Ohio State, 9th best in America this past week, according to PFF. 88.3 overall coverage rating. Really good stuff from the Buckeyes as they were able to handle business against Akron. And I was really pleased with the way the DBs played in terms of just overall coverage and being really good at their jobs and not letting up anything big, because Akron could not pass the ball down the field. Last guy I'll talk about, it's the QB1, Will Howard, who started off the game shaky, some not great decisions. He had the time where he was being pressured, running around the pocket, almost threw a fumble away to one of the running backs. Don't remember if that was Henderson or Quinshon Junkins. I believe it was Henderson. Threw it backwards, could have been a fumble. Henderson luckily jumped on it, but that's a decision that a freshman would make, not a fifth-year quarterback, and that was unacceptable for Will Howard to do that in that instance. But besides that, he felt to be pretty good overall from my perspective in terms of just what he was able to do, and I thought he looked solid. I thought Will Howard's stat line is pretty good for what it was. I didn't think it was amazing. I didn't think it stood out as, wow, we really got that guy in the transfer portal. It really wasn't that way. I mean, 17 for 28. Good completion percentage. The yards were okay. He had 3 touchdown passes. We know 2 of them, they went to Jeremiah Smith, and he was able to put up there, and Smith did the work. But the thing is, Will Howard kind of looked like what Kyle McCord was last year. Maybe a little better version in terms of an upgrade, but nothing special at the moment. I think the pocket presence in terms of the rushing offense for what Will Howard was able to do with his legs is a little bit the upgrade. But besides that, the decision-making, the ball placement, pretty similar to what I saw from Kyle McCord. And I wasn't too pleased with that, but at the same time, I wasn't too upset where I need an overreaction being like, hold up. Is this really what we got in the transfer portal when we could have gotten Cam Ward or Dylan Gabriel? But right now, I'm okay with the way Will Howard played. Looked solid. Cam Ward did look great for Miami. So looking back, if Ohio State really did get Cam Ward, I mean, this team could be even more electric than what they showed this past Saturday. The Buckeyes play Western Michigan this Saturday. I'm going to keep you all up to date on what's going on in terms of news, rumors, and anything else you need to know about the Ohio State football team. Subscribe at youtube.com/GoBucks. Hit that button, hit that notifications, because we'll be churning out videos every day this week as the Buckeyes gear up, and we'll see you next time. Go Bucks.